All right, I want to say Shalom,
Shalom, shalom. Happy Shabbat.
Ashar Shabbat. For those that don't know, what we about to do, we about to get into we're about to get into Romans 3. I actually started a Romans series. You can see Romans 1 and Romans 2 on our camp YouTube channel under the Romans series, and we about to do this, put this Romans 3 in. We actually filmed this, like 2 weeks ago? And
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Lost all that footage.
Facts.
So we're gonna touch on it again. Get this
recap.
Romans 3 series. Well, Romans series. Basically, the plan is to go through it so people understand what Paul was actually talking about when he was writing. Because when you look at a lot of people, especially the Christian church, they run to Paul to try to prove their doctrine, which is all the way against the scriptures. Like it don't make sense that they'll go to Paul to say something, but Christ and everybody else says something different. But they take Paul's word. What we're gonna do, what I like to do, start with 2 Peter's chapter 3, verse 15.
This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. And account that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, have written unto you.
Now, Paul was given a lot of wisdom. This Peter, this is Christ's right-hand man. Yahweh Shah's right-hand man. He said he's going to be the rock. You feel what I'm saying? He's going to be the foundation of the church. So Peter, who knew Christ, who walked with Yahweh Shah, he also knew Paul. He met Paul. He talked to Paul. So he said Paul was given a whole lot of wisdom as he wrote to you with all these epistles, right? Read on.
As also in his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood.
So he's saying even in all his epistles, there's things in there that's hard to be understood. So Peter, Yahweh Shah's right-hand man, that was there when he got crucified, that walked with him, you feel what I'm saying? He's letting you know Paul writing things that's hard to be understood. So read on.
Which they that are unlearned.
So they that are unlearned, read.
And unstable.
And unstable, do what?
Rest.
They wrestle with Paul's scriptures. Paul is hard to be understood. He was given a lot of wisdom. People don't understand his wisdom. Now, it was hard to be understood back then, so imagine now. You feel what I'm saying? Read on.
As they do also with the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
They wrestling with Paul's scriptures and putting Paul's scriptures against the other scriptures. They're doing that to their own destruction. Paul never told you anything different. When you read Paul, you see Paul constantly quoted from the Old Testament. He always quoted from the law. He always quoted from the prophets because that's what he believed. You feel what I'm saying? People try to put Paul against the Old Testament. No, you can't do that. Paul is actually reaffirming the Old Testament. He's teaching brothers that's in the Gentile state of mind. One thing I like about Paul when I go into his scriptures is because it actually is what we going through today. The way Paul teach, what he's going through is what brothers that is in the camps are doing. That's what they teaching. That's how they teaching. They're going to Israelites that's in a Gentile state of mind. Those that didn't know they was Israel or just knew they was Israel but grew up like Paul went to these Romans, these Israelites that grew up as Romans. We go to these Israelites that grew up as Americans and try to bring them back to their culture. You feel what I'm saying? He going through the same obstacles. He trying to put it in a way that they understand. Same way we do. We bring up certain movies to break things down, different games and all that stuff to give an idea, paint a visual, paint a picture for these brothers to come back to this word. Right? Go to Acts chapter 26, verse 22, Bible Kishar.
Chapter 26, 22.
Come.
Having therefore Acts chapter 26 and 22.
Yo, when you read this, right? When you read Acts, especially from like 21 and on, you see that Paul was actually locked up because of this. Israelites didn't understand. They thought he was teaching against the law because he writing to people, Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. He went to the Israelites that grew up as Greeks, Israelites that grew up as Romans, Israelites that grew up as barbarians, and so on and so forth. So he going to them teaching, trying to bring them to these scriptures. And the other Israelites that was in Jerusalem was like, hold on, they thought he was teaching against the law, which he never was. So he got locked up and put on house arrest and all that. So what did Paul do? Let's hear what he said. Read that.
Come. Having therefore obtained help of God, I continue unto this day, witnessing both to small and great, saying not other things.
Saying none other things. Put emphasis on that. He said none other things, nothing different than what?
Saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come.
He said he didn't say nothing different than what the prophets said should come. He said nothing different than what Moses said should come. Now, because of Paul saying this, right? Now it's up to you. If you think that he's teaching against that, if he's teaching the laws is done away with, show me and show people where it says in the law that the law will be done away with. Show in the prophets where the law will be done away with. You can't. Show in the law and the prophets where all other nations can be saved. They all could come up into this and become one of us. You can't. You're not going to be able to show that anywhere.
Right.
Feel what I'm saying? So that shows right here that what you think about Paul, unless Paul is lying here, if he's lying, you shouldn't be dealing with him in the first place. Feel what I'm saying? But yeah, he said none other things. He didn't say nothing different than what the Lord said and what the prophet said. So with that in mind, you got to keep that in mind whenever you reading the scriptures. Give me Isaiah 8:20 real quick, Bible Shah. You got to keep that in mind whenever you reading Paul's words. Feel what I'm saying?
This is the book of Isaiah 8.
Chapter 8, verse 20.
8 and 20. To the law and to the testimony.
To the law and to the testimony, to the law and the prophets. Right, read.
To the law and the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
He said, to the law and the testimony, if they speak anything different than the law and the testimony, there's no light in them. If Paul spoke anything different than the law and the testimony, there would be no light in him. But he said he spoke according to that. So people need to stop trying to so-called worship Paul. Like Paul tell you himself, and this is crazy because everything that's going on now was going on back then. Give me on 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12. We're going to start at 12 and 13.
Facts.
Everything that's going on now was going on back then. People living in a Gentile state of mind, people, these Christian churches, they so-called worship Paul, making him out to be a liar.
Come. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18.
Come.
Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you.
No, you got 1 Corinthians?
Oh, 1 Corinthians. What?
Come. 1 Corinthians 1:12.
Salaki. Come. 1 Corinthians 1 and 12. Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, and I of Apollos, and I of Cephas, and I of Christ.
People, Israel was divided during those times. During those times, Israel was divided, and these was people that knew they was Israel. You feel what I'm saying? They knew they was Israel. They had some that was saying, yo, I'm a follower of Paul. This is Paul writings, by the way. He's writing to the church of Corinth, which was in Greece, right? That Corinth was like around, it was in between, right in between Athens and Sparta. He said, some say, yo, I'm of Paul. Others say, I'm of Apollos, which was another apostle. Some say, and I of Cephas. Cephas was Peter. And I of Christ. Some saying, yo, they followers of Christ, of Yahushua, right? Read on.
Is Christ divided?
How you want to be different followers? These is Israelites. Yo, Paul, Apollos, Cephas, and Yahushua all taught the same thing. Is Christ divided? That's what he asking. Like, yo, how you gonna say you a follower of me? How you gonna say you a follower of Cephas, of Peter? How you gonna say you just a follower? I mean, when there's followers of Yahushua, of Christ, how you gonna do that? You can't, because they all teaching what Christ taught. So you can't do that. It's you under Christ. That's it, right? Read on. Read that part again. 13.
Is Christ divided?
Is Yahushua divided? Can you divide Yahushua? Read.
Was Paul crucified for you?
Was Paul crucified for you? Stop running to Paul to try to prove everything and try to say that Paul spoke other than what Christ taught, other than what the prophets and Moses taught, because Christ taught the same thing the prophets and Moses taught. The whole book is written of him. So if he taught that, Paul, a follower of Christ, has to be teaching the same thing Christ taught, right? Read on.
I thank God. Salakia.
Yeah.
This is 13.
Uh-huh.
Is Christ divided?
Uh-huh.
Was Paul crucified for you? Or were ye baptized in the name of Paul?
Was you baptized in the name of Paul? Like, these guys call themselves Christians. I could say they Paulines, man. They Paulines. They followers of Paul, and not even a real Paul. Because they try to run to his words and then twist it up and wrestle with it to try to make it in something else. Right? Read on.
I thank God that I baptized none of you, but Crispus and Gaius.
And he's saying, I thank God I ain't baptized none of y'all. I thank God I ain't baptized none of y'all because y'all want some other stuff. They idolizing Paul. They made Paul their God. Paul was a regular man. He was a regular man doing the same thing we doing out here, prophesying these words, teaching his people to wake up. That's what he was. That's what he did. He didn't teach nothing different. He wasn't nothing special. When it comes to the law or the prophets, that comes before Paul. Thus saith the Lord. That comes before Paul. Yahushua comes before Paul. Point blank, period. Y'all lying on Paul. If y'all lying on Paul, even still, no matter what you see, what Paul say, if you think that he's saying something different, you got to toss that to the side. Because guess what? To the law and the prophets, if it's not according to this word, it's because there's no light in them. Now, according to Yahushua is Torah. Give me Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 real quick. And then we're going to go into Romans. Let's see what Christ says, because a lot of people try to use Paul to say the law is done away with. Paul just right here lets you know that Yahushua is above him. Yahushua, Christ, is above Paul. Paul is a follower of Christ. So let's see what Christ says about that law, right?
Let's see. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17.
Come.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets.
He's letting you know he didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. Read.
I'm not come to destroy it, but to fulfill.
And you know what? Let's get into this real quick. Because a lot of people try to say, oh, he came to fulfill the law. Fulfill means to complete. But here's the thing. He didn't came to get rid of. Matter of fact, we're going to keep on reading, then we're going to see what he fulfilled. Because there were certain things written in the law about Christ that was fulfilled. Right? Read on.
For verily I say unto you.
So this is Christ. He's saying, verily, truly I say unto you, read.
Until heaven and earth pass.
Till heaven and earth pass. Heaven and earth has not passed. It haven't passed. The same people that's ruling back then is ruling now. The Edomites. Heaven and earth hasn't passed, however you want to look at it. You feel what I'm saying? Heaven and earth hasn't passed. We still standing on this earth. The heavens is still here. Right? Read.
One jot or one title.
One jot or one tittle. Read.
Shall in no wise pass from the law.
Shall in no wise pass from the law. Not one part. Not one little part. Whatever you think is the smallest part of the law has not passed. It cannot pass. Read.
Till all be fulfilled.
Till all be fulfilled. All things must be fulfilled. All things. And guess what? One of them prophecies was that Israel will have servants, slaves, that they'll rule. One of the prophecies, Isaiah 66, 15 to 17, lets you know that Christ come back, he's going to be killing people that eat pork. So how is that fulfilled? That never happened. So that means that part, that keeping that you can't eat pork, that's still there. Feel what I'm saying? Read on.
Come. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments.
So whoever breaks one of these least commandments, right? Read.
And shall teach men so.
And teach men to do so, like y'all, the Christian church, or y'all Christianized Israelites. Because there's some Israelites that's really Christians on the low.
Hellenized.
Read.
He shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
He said he's going to be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But what? Read.
But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
And whoever do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. We do these laws. We keep these laws and we teach these laws. So guess what? That's what we're looking forward to, trying to be called great in the kingdom of heaven. We least over here in this world. We don't want to be least in the kingdom of heaven. Feel what I'm saying? Give it on, but real quick, so we could get this fulfillment. Acts chapter 3, verse 18. Because in the law and in the prophets, there was written many things of Christ, and no part of it says that he's going to do away the law. You cannot show that anywhere. But what it does say is that he's going to die for his people. He's going to suffer for his people to bring them back to the Most High.
You want that Acts 5 and 29 or Acts 3:18?
Acts 3:18.
3:18?
Come.
This is Acts chapter 3 and 18. But those things which Yahweh before had showed by the mouth of all his prophets.
By the mouth of all his prophets. All his prophets. What did he show? Read.
That Christ should suffer, he hath so fulfilled.
That's what he fulfilled. That's what he came to fulfill. Because it tells you that in Moses, in the book of the law, that the prophet was going to come. You read that in Deuteronomy 18:18, that the prophet will come. You feel what I'm saying? And we got to listen to him. You feel what I'm saying? All these prophets talk about that. That he'll come, he'll die. Isaiah talks about he'll come and he'll die. He's wounded for our transgressions. Micah, you feel what I'm saying? All these prophets talked about it. He came and he suffered. Everything that he was told about him to suffer, he so fulfilled. That's it. He suffered that. Luke 24, verse 44, real quick. And then we go to Romans. Luke 24, 44.
This is the book of Luke 24 and 44. And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you.
These are the words that he spake while he was yet with them, while he's with the disciples. Right, read.
That all things must be fulfilled.
All things must be fulfilled. All things must be completed. Read.
Which were written in the law of Moses.
Read.
And in the prophets.
All things must be fulfilled in the law and the prophets. Read.
And in the Psalms.
And in the Psalms. Read.
Concerning me.
Concerning him. What's that? That he would die for his children of Israel. That he'll be born out of Bethlehem. That he will be suffered. That he will be stabbed in his side. No bone be broken. All that. Feel what I'm saying? So that's what he fulfilled. He didn't get rid of the law. Fulfill means to complete. He completed that. He came here. He suffered for Israel. He completed that. Now there's other stuff that needs to be fulfilled. He said until all things be fulfilled. All things haven't been fulfilled.
Bring that out.
Right? Now we can go to Romans real quick. So you got to start following Yahweh Shah. Praise the Most High. Worship the Most High. Follow Yahweh Shah, your big brother. And what he showed us how to do, how to move. Because he didn't teach nothing against the law or the prophets. So we showing you that Paul wasn't teaching against the law or the prophets neither. But read that for me.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 3.
Verse 1. Start at
verse 1.
We're going to do the whole thing.
What advantage then have the Jew?
And it's starting off strong. What advantage then have the Jew? Now, when you go back, matter of fact, the website is HODC YHWHS Camp, CAMP. That's a YouTube site. You go in there. It's HODC Yahweh's Camp.
Shalom, brother Ryan. Shalom.
I mean, you get on there, you can see Shalom. Get on there, you can look at the Roman series. You can see verse 1. I broke down chapter 1 and chapter 2. You feel what I'm saying? So you can see exactly who he's talking to. The whole Roman church that he's talking to right here is all Israelites. All Israelites. So yeah, go ahead, read that.
Come. What advantage then have the Jew or prophet, or Salakia, or what profit is there of circumcision?
So he asks him, what advantage has the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Because a lot of people try to come to Paul and say, oh, you don't got to be circumcised no more, going all the way against the Most High. Most High said you have to do that throughout your generations. Feel what I'm saying? He said no person would be allowed in his temple that's not circumcised. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. You can keep what you got. I'll read it for you. I'll read it. I'm going to get that. That's Ezekiel 44. Ezekiel 44, I'm going to start at verse 6. And it says, and thou shalt say to the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, thus saith the Most High thy power, O ye house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations. Abominations is the extreme disgust and hatred. So he's talking about the stuff that what Israel was doing that the Most High hated, right? Verse 7, in that ye have brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in the heart, showing y'all that Paul talking about the uncircumcised heart and the circumcised heart is nothing new. He got that from the so-called Old Testament. Moses wrote about that, and we're reading that in Ezekiel right now about the uncircumcised heart. He said, you brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in the heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary to pollute it. Uncircumcised people in the Most High sanctuary, in the heart and flesh, both pollutes his sanctuary, according to the Most High. He hates that. That's an abomination. So you think that changed? The Most High hates it. He's all-knowing. He's all-powerful. He don't change. If he hated it then, he hates it now. Get yourself circumcised. Stop teaching people they don't have to get circumcised. I'm going to read on. Even my house, when ye offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant because of all your abominations. Broke his covenant because we allowing people to come in there uncircumcised in flesh. That's disgusting according to the Most High. According to Most High, you're not even supposed to eat you can't eat his Passover. And Passover's coming up. Some people already had their Passover. You can't eat of his Passover if you're not circumcised. That's his law. He said those that are not circumcised will be cut off from their people. And that's another thing why the Israelites was looking at the Gentiles or the Israelite Gentiles as uncircumcised and strangers as Gentiles, because they was cut off because they wasn't circumcised on the 8th day. I'm going to jump down real quick. Verse 9 it says, thus saith the Most High, Yahweh, no stranger uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh shall enter into my sanctuary, of any stranger that is among the children of Israel. So it's showing you, these are talking about the children of Israel, those strangers. Any strangers that are among the children of Israel. But he's saying uncircumcised in heart or flesh, they cannot enter the sanctuary. Circumcision is important to the Most High. Let's go back. Let's read that again. Again, remember, according to the law and the prophets, if they speak not according to this word, is because there is no light in them. Yes, so if anybody speaks against that, there's no light in them. Read.
So this is Romans 3 again. What advantage then have the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision?
So he's asking, what advantage has the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Read.
Much every way.
In every way possible is prophets. And in every way possible is an advantage. Read.
Chiefly,
Mainly, read.
because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yahweh.
This. Unto us, this was committed to us. The oracles of the Most High was committed to the Israelites.
Come.
Right? Read on.
Oh, praises. For what if some did not believe?
What if they don't believe, right? What if they don't believe? Like the Christian church, I can't believe that. You'll read 100 scriptures to them. I just can't believe that. I just can't see it. I can't believe it. Read.
Shall their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh without effect?
Does their unbelief change anything? Read.
God forbid.
Heck no. Right? Heck no. Read.
Yeah, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar.
Let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. The Most High be true. The Most High. The words of the Most High is in those prophets. Everything we need to know is in those prophets and in Yahweh Shah. You feel what I'm saying? So if it's not coming from them, you don't need it. If it ain't coming from them, Paul had a lot of wisdom. Paul had a lot of wisdom, and he tried to use that to help brothers. That's what he did. His letters are to help specific churches. Specific church. Like, yo, when you even read, one church he'll tell you, greet that sister as an elder. Another church, he tells them, yo, let the woman learn in silence. Then the other church, yo, leave them women at home. Let them learn at home. Don't even bring them here. Is Paul confused? He's dealing with what's going on in those churches to try to help out what's going on, make everything better. Stop taking Paul's words as law. They're not law. Paul's words are advice. That's it. It's not law. Read on.
As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged.
Now, again, remember I said Paul constantly quotes the Old Testament. Constantly quotes the Old Testament. Right here, he's actually quoting, I want to say more so paraphrasing, because there's a part of it that's kind of messed up. But what he's quoting or trying to quote is Psalms 51. Grab that for me real quick. Matter of fact, you can hold that. Hold that. I'll give you Psalms 51.
Oh, God.
Psalms chapter 51, verse 4.
Come.
It says, against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. He's saying the Most High is justified in everything he do. He's clear when he judges us. But when you read what Paul said, it could be a mistranslation, but it looked like he paraphrased and kind of got a little messed up, but still the word is there. It means exactly what he was trying to say. That thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. That's what he's talking about when the Most High judges us. You feel what I'm saying? He's justified in everything he do because we did wrong. Because we went off. Because he tells us to do something, we don't do it, and we get justified. We get judged for that. Right? Read on.
Come. But if our unrighteousness commend the righteousness of Yahweh, what shall we say? Is Yahweh unrighteous? Whoever taketh vengeance?
He's read on.
I speak as a man.
He's speaking as a man. Y'all got to remember, y'all dealing with a man, man. This is a man. He's not nothing to be worshipped. He's not nothing, a man with a whole lot of wisdom, but he's not nothing to be worshipped. Stop taking his words as law. It's not. It's not. He's saying, if our unrighteousness commends the righteousness of the Most High, because we see that the Most High is above us. The Most High is righteous in everything he do. We know that we went off. All of us. We all went off. So he's justified for everything he does. He's justified for putting us in slavery. He's justified for killing our people now. Everything that's going on. We was just in an earthquake. There's earthquakes all over the world. Destruction is coming, believe it or not. Judgment is right around the corner. The Most High, oh man, we just got hit from March 17th, right? From March 17th to now. You had China that got hit with a 5.7 earthquake. Utah got hit with a 5.7 earthquake. Mexico got hit with a 5.7 earthquake. California got hit with I want to say 4.6 or something like that. Puerto Rico got hit with like a 3.2. But the crazy thing is Puerto Rico got hit with like almost 100 earthquakes in 2 days. In 2 days.
Damn.
You feel what I'm saying? Greece last night got hit with a 5.